Alright guys, welcome back to the Subclass series. We're moving on today onto the Horizon Walker Texas Ranger. So if you're new to the series or to the channel, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through each of the abilities gained in the subclass, and then we're going to rate the subclass based on its roleplay value, its combat value, and its overall class synergy based on the abilities that are gained in the subclass, how they improve on the base class abilities. So without any further ado, jump straight into it.
Rangers are half-casters, so you do get some free spells with the subclass, just like you do all the rest of the ones with Ranger. And they are very interesting. Protection from evil and good, Misty Step, Haste, Banishment, and Teleportation Circle, all with the theme of like movement, very moving quicker than normal, moving across greater spaces than is normally common for martial classes, I would say. Right. And then, of course, Protection from Evil and Good kind of fits the theme of what the Horizon Walker does, of things that don't belong to this plane shouldn't be here, is essentially the way they work thematically.
Yeah, for sure. So, first up, at level 3, we get Detect Portal. Basically, you gain the ability to magically sense the presence of a planar portal. As an action, you can detect the distance and direction to the closest planar portal within 1 mile of you. When you use this feature, you can't use it again, so you finish a short or long rest. This ability is probably going to be useless or greatly useful depending on your DM and your campaign setting. So if you're not really planning to do a whole lot of planar travel, then this is pretty much going to be pointless. But if you are, it's going to be pretty good on the RP side of things. Sure. Then at level 3, also, we're going to get Planar Warrior. You learn to draw on the energy of the multiverse to augment your attacks. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. Next time you hit that creature on this turn with a weapon attack, all damage dealt by the attack becomes force damage, and the creature takes an extra 1d8 force damage from the attack. When you reach 11th level in the class, it increases to 2d8 damage. So just a nice little way to basically have a use every turn for your bonus action. Alex and I were talking about this earlier, is a lot of times you just don't ever use your bonus action, depending on obviously what class and whatever you're playing. But there's a lot of times that you just have no use to do with your bonus action. So having something that you can reliably use at every single turn and never feel bad, because you're not using a spell slot or anything, or a limit on the amount of uses to it, you're just going to have an option that's always readily available to you, so you're not just wasting that bonus action that's just sitting there.
Right. Level 7, you get Ethereal Step, which essentially you get a miniature version of the Etherealness spell, which at its full capacity is a level 7 spell. You cast it as a bonus action, but it does just last for the current turn you use it on. But the way it works is you enter the ethereal plane, so you can see and hear things from the corporeal plane, which is, us, the physical state of the world, but you can't interact with anything or adjust things. You can't attack people from that plane. You can just see and hear things that go on. It says that they got like it's in black and white. Everything's all grayed out. But basically, what it becomes is the best scouting ability possibly. Is okay, you're attacking a castle lair or whatever, and you're like, what's in that room? Okay, let me find out. Whoop, just go ethereal, go into the next room. Oh, there's 2 guards and 2 guard dogs in there, and you pop back out and you tell your party what's there, so you guys can prep and ambush things extremely well, but knowing what's there. But that's about it for that ability. Level 11, you get Distant Strike. When you take the attack action, you can teleport up to 10 feet before each attack to an unoccupied space you can see. If you attack at least 2 different creatures with the action, you can also make one additional attack against a third creature. So if you're able to attack 3 different people with your attack action, you can make a third attack and go, boom, 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 and teleport each time. So you get essentially up to an extra 30 feet of movement on your turn. But you get the 20 default every turn as long as you take, you attack twice with your extra attack by the time you hit level 11. So it gives you a lot of mobility, and the biggest thing I said before is you become the ultimate kiting machine. There's no melee creature can ever get to you, barring having fly speed or just some ridiculous amount of speed. But you can teleport away, so you're not being affected by opportunity attacks, and just run away whenever you want to, essentially, while still attacking. And level 15, your last ability is Spectral Defense. When you take damage from an attack, you can use your reaction to give yourself resistance to all of that attack's damage on this turn. So it says attack. So it works anything single target, via a martial attack of a club, sword, bow, or even a spell attack for a single thing. So no fireball, but things like Spiritual Weapon would work for that. Guiding Bolt as a cleric. These are things that come to my brain. You could just use your reaction to take half damage from that, essentially getting like an uncanny dodge for free as part of the subclass. So it gives you some extra survivability, nothing else.
Yep. So that's going to wrap it up on the ability side of things. Pretty straightforward again on the Ranger here. But what we're going to look at first is the roleplay value. And again, just a little asterisk here I have to always give. When we're looking at the roleplay value, we're basically looking at interacting with NPCs, interacting with the world around you, avoiding combat, non-combat scenarios, things of that nature. We're already anticipating you acting out or role-playing your class fantasy, history, lore, acting out your spells and abilities, everything like that. That's already included, or not included, I should say, I guess, in the scores. We're looking at the scores, we're looking purely at the mechanics, the abilities gained in the subclass, and how those are going to improve on those non-combat scenario kind of encounters.
If it's not in the book, it does not count toward our scores.
Right. So, looking at the RP side of things, obviously your Detect Portal is pretty much entirely RP, and it's going to be heavily dependent on your DM and the campaign setting that you're in, but it could be incredibly important in the RP if it is used, but again, heavily dependent on the DM and the campaign setting. Then looking at some of your other things like your spells, Misty Step is pretty much good all the time for anything, but of course there's take a spell slot for that. Teleportation Circle, travel.
Right,
I would consider travel to be a role-playing thing. Yeah. Just to have someone who has the ability to teleport or, get you from point A to point B in a faster way is always helpful. So if you don't have maybe necessarily a heavy caster party, this could be helpful later on. Being able to get around a little bit easier. The 17th level is pretty high up there. But it is what it is. Obviously, Ethereal Step can be used in combat, so say like you're getting hit or whatever, and you're like, I don't like where this is going, I'm just going to get out of here so I don't know where I'm going, and phase, basically. But it's also probably going to be more often used, I would say, as a scouting tool. As
almost exclusively, I would figure.
Right. So definitely on the RP side there. So looking at all of these things, there are definitely some heavy RP things when they are used, but again, some situationalness in there. So we went ahead with a 3.5 out of 5 on the RP side of things. Definitely interesting, but nothing, again, crazy going on here on the RP side.
That was the biggest thing I said when we were talking about this beforehand, was this is maybe the most interesting and unique of all the Ranger subclasses. Doesn't feel as maybe as traditional,
right?
So which I think gives a little bit extra RP value in the fact that it does feel more unique compared to some of the other subclasses.
Sure.
On the combat side of things, you look at you touch your spells. Obviously, haste comes to mind, just giving yourself an extra attack, extra armor class, more movement speeds. Always a fun time. Definitely. Misty Step helps you get out of trouble, which I would think would be more effective until you get the distant strikes, because you can be teleporting for free.
Right.
Every time you attack with it, which is very interesting because you're able to get out of trouble. If somebody does get on top of you, you can get out of opportunity attacks and not have to worry about, is this worth running out of melee range to take that extra damage or not? You just I'm just going to go ahead and do it and just teleport out of there.
Right.
And as Jameson mentioned earlier, give the chance to always have a good use for your bonus action. Because a lot of classes and subclasses either have to spend a spell slot or only can do something with that bonus action like X number of times per day or per rest. Right. Having something you can always fall back to is is it maybe the most empowering thing? No, but it is just free extra damage by using your bonus action every turn. I really like that because, again, there's no limit to how many times you can do it. It just takes your bonus action to give yourself some extra damage,
for sure,
which is great. And then giving the chance to resist incoming damage from a giving thing. Yeah, you're sacrificing an opportunity attack, but it gives you an option of which one do you want to do. The chance to opportunity attack, especially if you're playing at range, probably don't have a lot of opportunity attack opportunities anyway, which is hard to say, opportunity attack opportunities. But being able just to choose to uncanny dodge, essentially, how rogues get that as a base ability, but you do get that thrown in here as well without having to worry about the dangers of being in trouble if you don't want to be. Overall, number-wise, we went with a 4 out of a 5 on the flump scale. Yes. A lot of interesting combat mechanics here. Gives you a lot of mobility, and be able to move around the battle pretty freely.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of mobility, moving on to the class synergy side of things.
That wasn't planned.
I feel like the distant strike, having the extra movement and teleportation, basically you get to, there's no limit to it, right? You can do it every turn if you wanted to. Being able to teleport, 10 feet at a time, up to 3 times potentially if you have multiple targets to hit, up to 20 feet if you only have the one target. But that being said, being able to move around the battlefield a little bit better is always helpful. And with Rangers in general, their synergy opportunities, I would say, aren't necessarily as good as some of the other classes as they're on, as Alex and I talked about before. A little bit more on the undertuned side of things as a base class. Because you only have like your weapon fighting styles.
Yep.
And I mean, you're like half caster, so there's some kind of spell stuff you can go with there. But then you have like your favorite enemies, but there's not really a whole lot to synergize with those.
And favorite terrains,
most
same thing.
of the subclasses. So it is what it is on that side of things. So nothing crazy going, way off the deep end here. But some of the things that are super helpful, the teleportation, getting the ability to increase your damage, change it to force damage, and increase the damage,
right,
can be super helpful and gives you a use for your bonus action all the time. Because sometimes it feels bad to end your turn without ever using a bonus action, which can happen sometimes depending on what you're playing.
A lot of times.
Yeah, depending on what class you're playing, subclass. So having that something to fall back on every turn and not have to worry about spell slots or limited uses is always nice to have. But again, nothing crazy going on here. Spectral Defense, yes, it's pretty good, but essentially it's a level 15 ability that several other classes get much earlier. So is it good? Yes. Is it amazing? Yes. But it's level 15.
Would it be better if you got it at like level 7? Yeah.
Right. Right. And also, a little bit more on the, RP side of things with the etherealness and the detect portal and all that stuff can be super situational. But depending on what the situation is, with etherealness, you're able to set up some good party-wide ambushes and things with that. So some synergy potentially, like setting up, like you check the other room, and then you tell like your wizard, hey, this is going on here. Just peek in there and shoot something in there.
And fire.
So, definitely some uses there. But we just went with a 3.5 out of 5 on the synergy side. Like I said, again, not a whole lot to work with on that side of things, but a little bit above the base, I would say. So just get a little bit bonus here with having those abilities that are always good, just being readily available to you. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. So if you enjoyed it, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so when our new videos come out. We got the new book coming out soon with Theros, first week of June. Doing lots of videos with that.
I like Greek-themed things. I'm going to dive hard at this book.
Looks really cool. So we'll be doing a lot when that comes out, so stay tuned to the channel. If you guys have ever played as a Ranger or as a Horizon Walker, Texas Ranger, let us know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.